What's going on, guys? Xbox Gut. Welcome back to another video. So today's video, I don't know really what I'm going to call it, but I'm basically ranking 21 games that I finished in the past 9 months. Yeah, August 23 of 2022, I finished 21 games, and I'm going to put them all on a tier list for you guys. And I'm going to be honest, there is not a bad game on this list. So let's just jump right into it. And alright guys, without further ado, we have one of the greatest, just most iconic games of all time for me personally, because whenever I grew up, the GBA was such a massive thing in my household. My mom had one, my dad had one, but me, I didn't have one. And my dad had like Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission and stuff like that. Sadly, I didn't get to play Zero Mission whenever I was a little kid. I did get to play and finish Fusion whenever I was a little kid, but Zero Mission was one of those games that I never got to finish. But now, in August 23rd of 2022, I finished it. And I have to give this game an S on the tier list because if you guys don't know, Metroid Zero Mission is a recreation of the very first Metroid game on the NES. And wow, man, it's just such a good recreation of that original Metroid game because it gives you some sort of direction on where to go. It just has such a great pixel art style, such a good stellar game. Super short, that's the only gripe I have about it, but still an S tier game. And sadly, I did play Zero Mission on a 3DS that was modded. I've never played it on original Game Boy Advance. I would love to if I could get myself an original copy of it and like a complete box because I love the box art on the original Zero Mission box. I did play on the 3DS, no gripes there, still a great experience. Alright guys, for our second game, it is going to be Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I played this on a modded Nintendo 3DS. Not the best way to play it, to be honest. There was some audio issues and stuff like that. There wasn't too many game glitches and stuff like that. It definitely was playable. Still a stellar game. I would give this one an A on the tier list because if you guys don't know, you know, Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night definitely created the whole subgenre of the Metroidvania like genre. Basically, everyone loves Metroidvanias. You know, Axiom Verge 2. Those are the only two that kind of come on top of my head. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, such a great game. It actually was kind of long from what I remember, but I do want to get myself a copy of the PS1 version because it's obviously the original, and I could definitely just hear the nice crisp PS1 audio. But it's super expensive. I would like to get it eventually. All right, guys. So for my third game on the list, we're just throwing bangers after bangers after bangers out there. The next game I have finished, and this was actually before the remaster came out on the Nintendo Switch. This is Metroid Prime on the GameCube. I do have my complete in box copy right here. This game, I bought it for 10 bucks complete in box. Actually, I didn't. My mom bought it for me back whenever I was a little kid. But this game, I didn't enjoy it whenever I was young. I like popped this in my original GameCube, didn't like it whatsoever. But whenever I came around, whenever I was 21 years old and finished it for the very first time, this game absolutely blew my mind. And I'm so glad I didn't wait for the remaster. I know the remaster is obviously like a remake, borderline remake, but my God, I'm so glad I didn't wait because this game, I flew through it in a matter of like a week. It was such a good game, and for that I gotta give it an S on the tier list. It's so good. And I do have the Metroid Prime Trilogy complete in box. Sadly, it doesn't have the manual, so it's actually not complete, or the slipcover, so it actually isn't complete. But it has the original 3 Metroid Primes on the Wii. I would eventually like to go back and play Metroid Prime 2 and 3 on this because I haven't experienced those games yet. I would like to add them onto this list eventually. Alright guys, for the next game on this list, it's going to be Hotline Miami on the PS Vita. I played this on a modded PS Vita. Yeah, I loved this game, to be honest. It was that high action paced, you know, fast paced action, like super fast paced. The reason why I would give it a B on the tier list personally is because story, it's good, it's really good, but it's really cryptic and stuff like that. It's actually kind of better given to you if you just kind of go and watch a YouTube video on it and stuff like that. Still a very fun game, hard to get. It's a very difficult curve to get, like the difficulty curve to get into the game. Super hard, but super fun, man. I loved Hotline Miami, and I have yet to hop into the second one. I have it downloaded, and I think I finished a few levels on it, but loved Hotline Miami 1. Alright guys, next on the tier list we have God of War, the original for the PlayStation 2. So I was playing this in anticipation of God of War Ragnarok because I was just so hyped for the drop of God of War Ragnarok that I went back on my PS2 and played the original God of War. And does it hold up today? I would say so. Yeah, I definitely say it's worth going back and experiencing Kratos' original story and stuff like that, I would give it a B on the tier list for sure. The reason why I would give it a B, not an A or not an S, is because I think the gameplay is a little bit too boring towards the second half of the game. It definitely gets, you know, more combo driven and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you're just mashing square, 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 triangle, 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 and stuff like that. But it's just, at the end of the day, it's still a very, very fun game, so that's why I give it a B on the tier list. And next, you have a game in this very similar vein of God of War. It's going to be the PSP version, basically. It's going to be God of War Chains of Olympus. It's kind of like a side story to Kratos. Really fun game, actually. For being on the PSP, the graphics were really good and really crisp. I played it on a PS Vita. I give it a B as well. I'd probably put it a little bit behind the original God of War. Story isn't there more than the original God of War. The original God of War has a pretty good story, I would say. It definitely adds a lot of character depth to Kratos. And it definitely just sets up the whole, you know, second half with Atreus and old man Kratos and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely give those both God of War games a B on the tier list. Next, we have Xenogears, a PlayStation 1 JRPG, man. I did a review on this on my channel, and I absolutely fell in love with this game. The characters, looking back on it now, I still remember the characters. I still remember some of the fights. I just don't really like it as much as I did whenever I finished it. Hype definitely has droned down a little bit, but I'd give it a B on the tier list because I feel like the story in Xenogears is just so hard to understand. If you've played Xenogears and you've finished it, or you've played a good chunk of it, Xenogears is such a hard game to understand. It deals with a lot of weird topics like religion, schizophrenia, just some weird stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the reason why I give it a B, to be honest, is the combat. The combat is there. The combat is so fluent, it's so fun, it's so fast. The combo system is unlike any other JRPG combat system I've ever played before, and I miss it so much. I love the combos in Xenogears, man. And if it wasn't for that, I'd probably give it like a solid C, story alone, but I would give it a B for sure, just because of the combat and, you know, gameplay and story alone. Alright guys, for the next game on my list, it's going to be Pokemon Scarlet. I played this alongside my girlfriend. She had Violet, I had Scarlet, and I think I blew through this game in probably like a week. I loved it. I would say this is probably my favorite Pokemon ever. I love the open world aspect. I love the fact that you got your legendary immediately in the game. He was your traversal tool. Super fun. I loved the way it was actually easier to catch shinies. I know that's kind of a gripe I'm sure some veterans have with Pokemon, but I loved just going out in the wild and finding a different colored Pokemon and being like, what the hell is that? It's a shiny. Super cool. I loved it, but I give it a C on the tier list personally because the graphics, horrible. I mean, it looked like a borderline PS2 game. Some PS2 games look even better. I would say Final Fantasy 12 looks better than Pokemon. I know they're completely different art styles, but it's on the Nintendo Switch, and I know Mario Odyssey and Kirby the Forgotten Land look just 10 times better than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's why I would give it a C, but gameplay wise only, I mean, it's definitely the same old stuff that Pokemon does. It's turn-based combat with collecting those pocket monsters and stuff like that, but it's still very fun and, you know, gives back to the original Pokemons. And next on the list, guys, we have Metal Gear Rising. And this game was an absolute treat. I spent like $5 on the Xbox board for it, and it was such a blast. I flew through it absolutely in like 5 hours. I don't think I did it in one sitting. I think I did it maybe like 3 or 4 because I knew it was going to be a short game, but I didn't know it was going to be that short. Oh my god, this game stars my boy Raiden from Metal Gear Solid. Oh my god, this game is just a complete separation from the complete Metal Gear Solid franchise. It's not stealth, it is complete high octane action. If you guys know, the final boss fight is just such a meme, but it's so fun. The soundtrack is so banging, and you know, Raiden, just giving him his own fleshed out game. We never thought we would get it, but we got it on the Xbox 360, and I loved it, and I gotta give it an A on the tier list. I absolutely flew through this game, and I finished the DLC, and it was all on the Xbox Series X, so it was like really high frame rate and stuff like that, so it looked really good. Yeah, A on the tier list for sure. Alright guys, next on the tier list is going to be Destiny 2. I hopped back in for about 55 hours, and I did the Halo content, which is like the 30th anniversary. I did that seasonal content. I don't really remember what season it was. It was very forgettable. But you know, I gotta give it a B because I'm a sucker for Destiny, man, and I love Destiny so much. And I wouldn't give it an A or an S or a double S or anything like that because I feel in my heart Destiny 2 will never be Destiny 1, in my opinion, no matter how hard they try, and I feel like it'll always be a B. It'll probably end up being a C for me. But Destiny 2 is just still holds that special place in my heart because it originally is a game that I love near and dear to my heart. So for that reason, I give it a B on the tier list. And next is the game I was anticipating so much, God of War Ragnarok. And did it hold up to the hype? I would say so, yeah, but not in some areas, like the parts where you have to play as Atreus and Angerboda. Horrible parts of the game, man. Definitely kept this game from becoming an S. It kept it down to an A, so for that reason I gotta give it an A. The parts with Kratos and Thor, just stellar parts. That's what keeps it an A. The gameplay, it's still very similar to the original God of War in 2018. Very fun though, very fast paced. It adds onto it, but the gripe, another reason why I don't put it in an S, is not really going to spoil anything, but the weapon variety is still very samey until later in the game. Still very fun though, and it's super awesome to see like the revelation of their story, Kratos and Atreus's. I'm really excited to see where it goes, but for that reason I'm going to give it an A. Alright guys, next on my tier list is going to be Final Fantasy XIV. This was like one of my first exposures to an MMO that I absolutely fell in love with. Yeah, I liked World of Warcraft, but I didn't put nearly as much time into World of Warcraft as I did Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV, I swear to God, took over my life for like 4 weeks. I was obsessed with this game. I like maxed out like 3 characters. I almost got a relic weapon on my Paladin. Super addictive gameplay, and for that reason alone, I have to give it an S. I finished up the Realm Reborn base game. I finished all that up, and it was horrible. I mean, I skipped through basically all of it, but the gameplay was just so good that it keeps it in that S rank. And I know that the story for Final Fantasy XIV just gets better and better with the expansions like Stormblood and like Endwalker and stuff like that. I know it just gets more and more crazier. And for that reason, man, I just have to give this game an S. I loved Final Fantasy XIV. I loved all 155 hours I put into it. I was obsessed. Let's just say that. And for the next game on my list, I absolutely loved this game. It's one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. It's Dragon Quest IX, and it's super simple in the fact that it's turn-based combat. It's very like, do you take your turn, I hit them, you hit me, and stuff like that. You have 4 party members, but the reason why this is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time is because the 4 playable characters are any characters that you want them to be. You can name them whatever you want, you can make them whatever class you want, you can interchange their classes, you can change the way they look. Super cool. And what I did was I put my girlfriend, my little brother, my sister in there as well as myself, and we ran through Dragon Quest IX like a little personal adventure on my Nintendo 3DS. And I don't know, man, I felt like I was really connected to the characters because they were like people I knew in real life. So whenever like one of them hit a critical hit and finished off a boss, I was super hyped, and I was telling the person that did it about it and stuff like that. It's super cool. And whenever like a character would die, like my girlfriend, I'd be like, oh shit, and I'd have to revive her right away because she would be like one of my main damage dealers, and my sister would be like my healer. It was a really fun game, and it was one of the first games where I experienced a JRPG that allowed me to create my own party members. Super cool. Dragon Quest IX, that's why I gotta give it an A, man. I love Dragon Quest IX so much. And the best part about Dragon Quest, and I didn't get to experience it in my playthrough, is that it's co-op, man. You could play this entire game co-op with alongside 3 friends on a Nintendo DS. They just don't do that nowadays, man. They just don't do that. I wish I was able to experience that. But I still think a solo JRPG experience for Dragon Quest IX is still a stellar A tier list experience. I would think if I played it with alongside another friend or maybe like 3 other friends or something like that, it would be an S, because I hear that in the heyday of this game, it was perfect. Alright guys, for my next tier list, I played this game out in Japan, and it was a perfect game to play out there. And this is Metroid Samus Returns on the Nintendo 3DS. I loved this game so much. The graphics hit. Samus was badass. The gameplay was fluent. You know, I played it on a 3DS XL, so my hands are a little bit bigger, and I thought that it wasn't too bad. Actually, if I could grip onto that 3DS XL, I was able to do some damage to those Metroids. The story is actually pretty good because you're going through exterminating all these Metroids, and if you guys don't know the ending, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it definitely leads into Super Metroid, and it's, oh man, Super Metroid is just awesome. But Samus Returns is such a good game. I have to give it an A on the tier list. The thing that's keeping it back from an S on the tier list is the fact that the graphics are good for the 3DS, but they, you know, after playing Metroid Dread, oh my god, Metroid Dread was just one of the best, it's probably the best 2D Metroid I've ever played for sure. Next game I played on the plane ride back home from Japan, and this is going to be Star Fox 64 3D, man. It's one of my favorite games on the 3DS, just for the pure fact that the 3D works so good. Just for the pure fact that the 3D works so good. I loved the I literally played the entire game in 3D. I know it's just a very short game. You could knock it out in probably an hour, 30 minutes and stuff like that, but I kind of try to take my time with it and play in all of 3D because it was one of the launch games for the Nintendo 3DS. I think it was a launch game. It was really close to the launch of the Nintendo 3DS, but oh my god, playing it back nowadays, super fun, and it holds up. I would love to go back and play it again since it's so short. Next is a game that I actually played and finished with my little brother. It's gonna be Contra 4 on the DS. Wow, man, this is such, if you haven't played a Contra game, Contra 3 in particular, this is such a good callback to like just old Contra games, because if you don't know, the DS obviously has dual screens, so it's able to utilize the top and bottom screen with the view of the game, so you're able to jump on the top of the screen, jump back down to the bottom. Characters are shooting you from the top screen, shooting you on the bottom. It's super fun, and it just uses the dual screen functionality super well, and for that reason I gotta give it an A on the tier list. Wow, man, I loved Contra 4 so much, and especially being able to play with my little brother, loved it. I should actually give it an S for that, but I think Contra 3 is a little bit better, and that's a game I would give an S for sure. Next game I played and put 55 hours into is Deep Rock Galactic. Shout out to Zag and shout out to the Sweet Tea guy in the Discord, man. We sunk some deep hours into this game. Like I said, 55 hours, 100 missions in. I looked and I got the 100 mission platinum trophy. Not platinum, but it's like the diamond trophy on Xbox. I did 100 missions, man, and I absolutely fell in love with this game. And Zag actually is the one who gifted it to me, so thank you so much, Zag. Really appreciate that, man, because I give this game an S on the tier list, dude, because I really enjoyed the time that I had with this game. And I recommend anyone that hasn't played Deep Rock Galactic, please go out and play it. Support the developers. Super fun. You guys will just find yourself stuck in the mines with your little dwarf buddies. Super fun. Hope you guys go and check it out. Alright guys, for the very last game that I'm going to rank on the tier list, one of the best games on this list, low-key, it's going to be Cult of the Lamb. I just finished this game probably like a few nights ago, probably 2 nights ago, and oh my god, this game blew my, I finished it in 6 days, 24 hours in, something like that, and I absolutely fell in love with the art style, the music, the gameplay, everything. I loved everything about it. The story was actually really good as well. They're constantly adding new DLC to the game, new expansions for free. The game is only 25 bucks right now on the Nintendo eShop. You can get it on Steam and stuff like that. Where I played it is on the Nintendo Switch. This is an S tier game, guys. You guys need to go out and play Cult of the Lamb, please. It definitely has like a weird Binding of Isaac aesthetic, like kind of demonic aesthetic, but it is so cute. Like the art style is just super cute, and it balances out kind of like that creepiness with the cuteness. It's like Stardew meets Animal Crossing meets Binding of Isaac meets like the Hades gameplay. It is absolutely S tier. I love it. I wish it was a little bit longer, but by the time I was finished with it, I was kind of ready to move on with something else. Alright guys, what did you guys think of the tier list? This is 21 games I finished in the past 9 months. I loved all of them. The lowest game that I ranked on this tier list is Pokemon Scarlet. Pokemon Scarlet is, I would not say a bad game by any means. I would just think that if they, polished it up a little bit more, it would definitely be up in the B for sure, or the A, if the graphics were on the level of Mario Odyssey and stuff like that. But I would definitely say it deserves the lowest game on the list for sure. What would I say is my favorite game on this entire list? Well, if we look at the S tier, I would have to say my favorite game that I played on this list for S, it's gotta be a tie between like Metroid Prime and Cult of the Lamb, because both of those games I flew through and loved so much. But if I have to give it to one, I would probably say Metroid Prime is the one I enjoyed a little bit more because of the history I had with it, and me seeing my dad play it whenever I was a little kid, and me not really enjoying it and then coming back a third time and really loving it. So I would say the best game I've played on this entire 21 games is Metroid Prime. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been Xbox Gut. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys like this style of video, let me know down in the comment section. Let me know down in the comment section what games you guys are playing and which games you guys have finished recently. Hope you guys enjoyed. Discord's going to be down in the comment section. Later, guys.